Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to take you through how to change the air filters on the N63 engine of my 750i BMW. Now this engine is totally different to your more conventional V8s that BMW has produced. If you're a petrol head, you'll know that on the V8s the air boxes were usually here on the sides in the front. But on this engine it's totally different, and the air cleaners are positioned in these compartments in the back. Now the way this works is that the air enters through this pipe here at the bottom. Then it enters the compartment in which the air filters is placed. And then goes through the top pipes into the turbos. As the air enters the turbo, it's compressed and then exits the turbo through this pipe into the charge cooler. And that air is then put through the intake manifold, which is situated right at the bottom of the car. So as I mentioned, this is an entirely different setup to most other or any other BMW V8s that has ever been produced. This is what they call a hot bank V8 because the turbos is situated within the V of the engine. Unfortunately, this engine has come in for a lot of criticism through the years because of the hot bank layout. The amount of heat build-up in that V is enormous, to say the least, and a big problem is of course the valve stem seals that become very hard and oil starts to leak through it, and you're sitting at the end of the day with a very smoky engine. I think there's a lot of mechanics out there that stopped counting how many N63 engines have gone through their hands and replacing the valve stem seals. But anyway, I'm happy to say that I haven't had any of those problems thus far with this car, and the engine is just running beautifully. Okay, now getting back to replacing the air filters, the first thing that you need to do is remove any of these two clamps. Doesn't really matter, you can remove the front one or the back one. I usually remove the one closest to the compartment. And you have to remove this little electrical connection there, but we'll get to that later. And then there's a couple of torque screws all around the unit that you have to remove to get the lid off. Now getting back to this little electrical connection, this is a little bit of a tricky sucker. The piece that you have to push in sits at the bottom of this connection, and it's very hard to get your fingers in there. So what I usually do is I unscrew the entire lid, and that makes it just so much easier to unplug this little electrical unit. Okay, so let's remove the clamp and then we can start removing the torque screws. I just want to apologize for the poor camera quality. I struggle a little bit with the zoom. But anyway, I think you'll notice that I didn't unscrew or removed the torque screws. All you have to do is you just basically have to unscrew them until the thread is removed from the bottom part of the housing. The reason is that the lid is designed in such a way that you don't have to remove the torque screws. You can just leave it in there. They loosen everything and it might feel like they're going to fall off, but they just don't. They just remain there, and it just makes it just so much easier. So you don't have to remove the torque screws. You can just leave it in there. And then one other thing that you can keep in mind is if you only want to replace the air filter, you don't really have to disconnect that electrical unit. You can only really lift the lid, take out the old air filter and replace the new air filter. You'll see you'll be able to do that. But say for instance, say this car hasn't been serviced for a very long time and you want to remove the air filter and you want to clean the box as well, like I'm going to do, then unfortunately, yes, it will be better for you to unclip that electrical unit and just remove the lid from the rest of the unit. Okay, lifting the lid, just having to remove it from the rubber coupling. And as you can see now, it's much easier now to disconnect that little electrical connector. And as you can see, that I mentioned before, the torque bolts just remain in there, they don't fall out. They make a lot of noise, but that's about it. I just need to mention that on the airbox on the right hand side, the electrical unit there, the clip is facing upwards and not downwards. And that one is far more easier, obviously, to remove than the one on the left. Okay, taking out the old air filter. Cleaning the box. Time to put in a new air filter. Just make sure it's sitting nice and snug. And that is it. And all you need to do now is just to refit everything in reverse order. Thanks for watching.